Glad to see you back at the Motorfest. How was this luxury ride for an introduction? For the next event of this playlist, we're going deeper into the French luxury car market. Get ready to hear everything about our archivist's second stop.
And yeah.
I started with masters with 620 natural aspirated.
Yeah, I remember the same. I was the same as well. Yeah.
Like coming around the turn.
Resuming progression on the playlist.
What's happening, guys? I'm Becky Evans, and welcome to Motorfest, the podcast, brought to you by Red Bull and the iconic Ubisoft game, The Crew Motorfest. This is a podcast where I get to talk to the top motorsport athletes in the world about their passions of all things speed, wings, and wheels.
How was this luxury ride for an introduction?
If you didn't already know,
For the next event of this playlist, we're going deeper into the French luxury car market.
you can actually
Get ready to hear everything about our archivist's second stop.
listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game. So sit back, relax, and listen to the athletes that get to drive them in the real world. Let's go. Now that isn't the sound of my SR22 there, but it is the noise of the BMW M4 that you get to play in the game. And I've got with me today two guests on my podcast that have driven it in real life. So Elias Hutunji and Connor Shanahan, welcome to Motorfest podcast. Now this is a car, the BMW M4, that Ellie, you know extremely well. You've been there since the beginning, the development stage.
Yes, like this is probably one of our biggest projects that we've done so far as a team. We teamed up with BMW M, and we actually got two production cars before they were out on sale, and we transformed them to 1,000 horsepower drift machines. And this is, until this day, it's a dream come true for me.
So I'm going to throw it back here, Ellie. The first time I actually met you, I had no idea about drifting. I'd just come off the back of making a TV show with Red Bull, and in 2018 I came to Mondello Park, which is the House of Drift in Ireland. You were the first person to actually put me in a competition car, allow me to start it, and then actually pull the sequential lever, which, you know, moving forward to today, I have one of those in my car because I was like, that feels absolutely sick doing that.
Yeah, this was the good old trusty E30 with the big V8 inside. I really love that car. And you might remember that actually the steering wheel was a little bit off center, a little bit crooked. And when I was sitting inside, I actually had to sit like this because the roll cage was a little bit too close to my helmet. But the thing is, like, when we built the car, I felt it like, and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right. 3 minutes in the car, gone. Next time in the car, I couldn't even realize that it was crooked, but the car is so much fun. And as you said, like, just feeling like when you press the clutch and you put the first gear and you feel this clunk, you can already feel okay, this is business. This is serious business now.
I'm telling you guys, no feeling will ever be like when you sit into one of these cars and you clank it into first gear for the first time. You're like, oh, I feel like I'm not racing sometimes. And Connor, the first time I met you, I mean, you look totally different. You look 15 years old when I first met you, 21 now. Like, you've been in this game a long time, but also not on this planet a long time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I joined the journey at quite a young age, but it's been an incredible journey. I've enjoyed every single moment of it. You know, meeting guys like you, during the career is probably the most important part of drifting. Is creating memories, doing cool things with everybody. And I think you can agree you came in 2018 for your first trip to But now, the presenter of Drift Masters is quite crazy how fast stuff can change in this sport. But I think the connection of what you build with everybody is quite insane. And same with Ellie. I looked up to this guy when I first came to our racetrack because I was a kid who raced karts, and you go to an event and you see a guy with a Red Bull helmet and you're like, oh, that guy must be doing something good. So for me, that was kind of the first moment in drifting when I seen Ellie and Joe. I was kind of, you go to an event and you see a guy with a Red Bull helmet and you're like, oh, that guy must be doing something good. So for me, that was kind of the first moment in drifting when I seen Ellie and Joe. I was kind of, had to step back and being like, damn, I wouldn't mind being Red Bull athlete one day in this sport, and it's cool how far it progresses. So yeah, it's a great moment for sure.
Ellie, do you remember the first time you met Connor?
Yes, first time was actually in Ireland. There was a national event on the docks.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know.
Yes, I was there. You and your brother were driving, Jack as well.
Yeah.
And I saw those guys going towards walls like with no hesitation, no nothing. Like they were no fear, nothing. And they were driving like hell. And I was like, because like in like Central Europe where we were driving, there was like some walls sometimes, but mostly like one wall, a track or something. Most of the tracks didn't have walls, so I was not used to seeing that. In Ireland, it was basically walls all around on the docks, and those guys just hanging it in, and I was like, oh, they are proper. The next time I saw him was 2018. He started the event at the age of 14. He ended the event at the age of 15 in the middle step of the podium. It was crazy, like beating James Dean back then in Poland.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. This was like crazy and yeah, well deserved. And I knew like there's a bright future ahead.
Would you say kind of that was a moment that really put you on the map?
Yeah, 100%, and it's kind of a funny story because I wasn't even supposed to be at that race. I was still supposed to drive in the national championship in Ireland and England, and my dad was still heavily involved in our program back then, and my parents were pushing to get us to that stage, what I guess, to try to get paid from this sport and all what follows. But it was kind of, there was a realization for my parents being like, oh, if you drive a national championship, it's actually more money than just putting you on the back of the truck, where my brother was going to be driving in Europe. So I went there, and Thursday practice, I kind of just, honestly, I felt like I just became a different driver that weekend. It was kind of crazy, and it was nuts. It was the most insane, I think, night, bar, probably winning a championship. It was definitely the night what kind of was like, wow, I don't even know how to explain this in words. And obviously looked up to James my whole life, and never at 14, 15 would I even thought that I would have got the chance to battle him, never mind, battle it out in one of the biggest competitions in Europe. So it was definitely the start of, I guess, putting my professional career on a platform.
Connor, I'm going to throw it to you here. I know from being young, like, you have that lack of fear when you're younger. Like, do you think it gave you that push to be able to, like, do you know what, that wall, I'm having it, I'm going in 60, no stress?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I kind of noticed that as I'm getting older. I'm trying not to. I'm not that old, but
welcome.
Yeah, I'm like kind of asking myself those questions. But I think getting back to the point of like the future of the sport is like, it also comes back to you have more time. When you're a 13, 14-year-old kid, you go to school, and for me, my life was literally, I guess at the turning point of my career actually was probably COVID, which was like actually a crazy time because I had nothing else to do. I wasn't, working from home. I wasn't doing anything, so I literally sat on my simulator, played until 4 a.m. every night, and woke up at 12 o'clock and got back on the simulator. So I guess, it comes back to the generation now. And even for me, I think, winning the biggest championship in Europe last year, and probably the biggest tool, what I would say, of being able to do that is still the simulator. It's laps and laps, and I see the guys coming up now, and it reminds me so much of myself when I was that age, because it also comes back to what you asked about having no fear, no worries. You're just in a car and you're not questioning what's going wrong. And, to see like Manoa in the States, that's like, you're kind of, even for me at 21, being like, oh God, we're struggling right now, like it's cool to see, but I think, as I said, it comes down to having the time to be able to do that. But for me, it's still one of the biggest training tools is gaming and simulation as much as possible, and I think that's what helps when you get out in the racetrack.
So we're going to jump into the fundamentals of drifting right now. So this is the most succinct explanation of this sport, which sometimes can be quite difficult to explain, but when you see it, it will all make total sense. So there's 4 main criteria. It's your speed, some say faster is better, your style, this is your wow factor, how much angle you throw in, how aggressive your initiations are, your line, this is absolutely imperative. When you're on a drift track, your line is the thing that's going to have you sitting on that top spot or not. And then it is your angle. Now, obviously, when you're driving a car at home, you've got somewhere around 35 degrees of angle. We're talking full line degrees.